Hello, I'm Theolyn Cortens. Here I am again with another Mystic Wisdom video. And this topic is about the Tree of Life. Now, the Tree of Life is a concept that bridges all cultures. We find it represented right across the board. In the Norse mythology, it's there. In Indian mythology, it's there. In Jewish mysticism, it's there. And going back to the Assyrians, the Babylonians, we see there's a sacred tree in the garden being watered by angelic figures with wings. So it's a universal model as an idea about the cycles of the living process. And this is why we use it in SoulSchool as Tree of Life cycles, because the passing of time throughout a year, and many years, of course, is all part of the growth of a tree. And we can see in it a kind of metaphor for who we are and how our life changes through different cycles. Most specifically, of course, in Jewish mysticism, we have a particular diagram called the Tree of Life. And this diagram explains how within a living organism and within all activity and creation, there are various patterns going on. And those patterns involve the exchange of what you could call positive and negative poles, like electricity. And of course, you come across this in the Taoism, in the symbol of the yin-yang symbol. You've got the light and the dark, and each contains the promise of the other. And so the Kabbalistic Tree of Life is saying pretty much the same thing. And it's quite possible that these concepts, metaphysical concepts, based on physical observation. So we see how the tree grows, and then we observe that, maybe that's something going on at an inner level. We can see it with our eyes, what happens, but perhaps at an inner level, something is going on which mirrors this. So taking that Tree of Life as our model for observing the mechanics of creation and how what is invisible becomes visible, what is energy, consciousness, divine source, comes out of itself and gradually manifests to become something which is solid, like the things in my room, like the bookshelves, the books, or me, whatever. And all those things, whether they're walking, talking things like human beings, like myself, or whether they are apparently lifeless or dead, solid things, like the bookshelves have been made out of a tree, whatever they are energy presenting itself in a different way. Now, the concepts that are important to us as meditators is that we can get engaged at an invisible level with the creative process which has initiated the change. So take that slowly. The invisible, whatever you want to call it, the invisible makes changes within its formula. And out of those changes, a whole series of creative reactions start to unfold until you can hold something in your hand. Now, if we as conscious beings, out of all the creatures on this planet, we are the most conscious of who we are. If as conscious beings we can engage with the invisible that's working in us, then we can deliberately, conscientiously, with a great focus, we can start co-creating with that invisible power. That's what it is. It's a potency. It's a creative potency. That's what the divine is. And when we engage with it, because we meditate and we go back into the silence and the stillness that's within us, the source of our own being, when we engage with that inwardly, then we put ourselves in the position of co-creating. And as I say in the blog that I've written to go with this video, it's rather like the parable of Jesus, who says, there's a man sowing seeds, but some of them fall on stony ground. And I was always puzzled by that. I was always puzzled, well, why doesn't Jesus give some kind of remedy? Because if you're in a state of consciousness, surely you can go back into the soil, the deep soil of your awareness, and add some nutrients so that the seeds that have fallen in, that are inherent in who you are, can get better food. And that's what we can do in a very practical way. You could think of this as going back into your memory field, your memories of childhood and where things didn't go right for you. And you can engage with those on an inner level. That's a very personal thing to do. And you can, say, okay, the seeds that I had in me to do this, that, or the other, or to be this, that, or the other, were not fed by the people around me. So now I'm going to make sure they're fed, right? And collectively we can do that, because a lot of the content of that deep unconscious within each of us, a lot of that content is inherited from ancestral stuff, where the ancestors didn't get the nutrients they needed. So as part of a healing process, we can go back and we can say, okay, dear ancestor living 500 years ago, what was missing for you? What can I do for you? That's very deep healing work. And it's not for everybody. But deep healing for your own personal stuff, to make sure that your children, your grandchildren, your descendants don't carry forward the stuff that maybe you are carrying, then that's really important. So what I'm talking about here is using the process of meditation to get in touch with the invisible, from which everything evolves, from which everything grows. Get in touch with that in yourself. And it's very personal, but it's also partly for the collective, because everybody who does it improves the state of that deep soil for the collective. So we want to put new minerals in, we want to put new compost in, and not chemicals, but natural stuff, good vibrations. And we can do that in our meditation process by, first of all, meditating to get into the still place, and then dropping in the characters that are on offer through the Schaefer method. You can drop in the characters, and each character has an intention, like a remedy, like a homeopathic remedy almost. It's like just a little drop of this particular character or that particular character. You can find out more about the characters on the website. So that's potentially a very potent thing to be able to do. And it's part of co-creation. It's a methodology for co-creating, which is very simple and can happen very quickly and effectively when you give the time for the meditation and then you drop in your intentions. So co-creation with the growing process, the process from the deep soul the soul of the universe, the source of all. Meditate, go into that place, and then have a conversation with the divine using the characters. It's a very beautiful thing to do. So start meditating if you haven't already. If you have got a meditation technique already, then develop that. Take it further. Be disciplined, be focused. The world needs people like you and me meditating. That's what we need right now at this amazing point of transition. So, many blessings. Keep shining. And I'll be back again before long.